This year was actually a very good year because it was the first year where we really went fully into a normal show mode. So NRF as well as EuroCIS, they both had a lot of visitors, a lot of exhibitors. It was all very customer-centric. I'd say the NRF opposed to EuroCIS a bit more on the retail media side. That was a topic quite interesting in the US market, less so in the European market. The European market has more about interest about organizational topics where they can support the retailers in their whole organization, and kind of like that this is all coming back also to staff shortage, which is not quite the same situation in the US and here. Common in both shows, we've still seen some autonomous stores. However, the interest or like the broadness of the topic has been less. So there's a lot of caution. Maybe there's also the first trends and tests that have shown that there's also some technical challenges to meet. So it's becoming a lot more specialized, but the trend is still there. What was interesting to see in Europe is that there's a lot of pain, obviously, with almost everywhere self-checkouts with the shrinkage problem. So that is showing to be common in both areas, North American market and here, of course, and everywhere else. But here, interestingly enough, in Europe, it was a lot of discussions that we had around where does it appear. It's not just on the customer side, but it really goes also into the organization. So let's say the back end of the store, so logistics and staff and everybody delivering was also a topic. So a lot of pain there, and obviously therefore a lot of interest to go into digitizing those kind of processes. Both events this year have shown us that during COVID, retailers caught up on a lot of information. They do have very specialized staff by now that actually take care of a lot of the digitization in itself, and they understand the value of data, how they can base their decisions on data. So it's a rather educated retailer we find nowadays, and this is a very nice trend. The retail also has seen that despite the bad times they had, but they are now sure that the retail is definitely not dead. Everybody understands that brick and mortar is something people love, customers go to, and there's still a big trend on having like fancy stores. Now the US has actually grown a lot of activity around improving stores and the experience for the customer within the store. In Europe, it's a lot about the customer experience as well, but it's more also to optimize processes because the staff is missing, because there's so much work that needs to be automated to release and relieve the staff a bit. And that is slightly different. But in both areas, it's good to see that retailers are convinced brick and mortar is and will be staying a very important piece in the whole market. The industry does show a cautious optimism, even though it's quite difficult in a situation that we have seen prices are rising, the development of prices has only gone up, and as said, the European situation, especially with staff shortage. However, there is still optimism because the online shopping is not replacing the retail, the brick and mortar retail shopping experience. So there's a lot of effort to really showcase and find out a lot of information. So retailers during the EuroCIS, especially, they were mentioning several times that they want to have the full knowledge and the full insight on their flagship stores, so they have a good understanding of what works and what doesn't work. So they're willing to invest to make their stores as good as only possible. And that's, for me, along with their educated people and staff they're having and the information they're aware of in the world of footfall counting and people flow analysis, a sure sign that they really do have an optimism going forward. That optimism may be that they need to automate processes to get some pain relievers, but the optimism is also because they are convinced that the customer is coming back for an experience in the store. I'd say the NRF and EuroShop were not so different in the topics we discussed and also the information that is now with the retailers. So some of the discussions are very deep dives that we're taking, and this is something we very much enjoy because starting some years ago, it was still necessary to educate, to inform a lot, to explain how we go from the door into the store. And nowadays, it's very natural that a retailer actually discusses with us what happens within the store. So the level of discussion has moved to very professional and to very deep knowledge. And that has been the same with both shows, and that is different to the years past where it was a bit more around the entrance, the door. And that's a very good trend that we're seeing there. I think one of the reasons why we see an increased interest to measure activities within the store is because there's a need. There's a real need. It used to be that there's a lot of marketing. Of course, with retail media, we can still transfer a lot of marketing within the store. However, there's also pains, a lot of pains. So layout optimization, how do you want to get the best out of your layout? It's easier to measure that instead of having staff that needs to be on the floor and actually just observe, because there's no staff to do that. With the staff shortage and with the increased demand for actually optimal processes, there's a lot more automation, and that goes into the store. One of the reasons why Xovis has attracted so much interest and attention is indeed the fact that we're capable to deliver not only real-time but also highly precise information. So the data gathering needs to be, sometimes for automations, obviously it needs to trigger an action, so it needs to be real-time, but also precision is necessary. So if you want to have within a room an action happening at a very certain point, that needs technology that can actually grant to be spot on the precision in the floor, in the store, and that Xovis can deliver.